Man, it's been so long I forgot how it goes.
It's been 2 weeks.
Has it been 2 weeks?
It was a little bit difficult getting set up yesterday because it has been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
It
It's
has.
been a little bit. Dun 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 dun. Been 2 weeks since the last time I was on, and I totally forgot how to do my job. That's the song. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello everyone. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. Today we're going to be making some Legion bases. There's an old adage in miniature hobbies. It says faces and bases. As long as you paint a really solid face and you decorate your base really good, you've got an awesome miniature. It's like the two most important things outside of contrast, and brush control. But the base is the thing that, like, the base of the miniature is the frame, right? It's the thing that brings your painting to life and kind of brings it all into focus and sets it into your reality, the reality that you're creating. So we're going to go over a couple bases today, just some random stuff that I have and just maybe some ideas that you maybe not have ever thought of. Who knows? We'll see. So let's kick it to the not so mini cam, the floor cam. It's a floor cam today. Pointing down. That song inspires confidence. Yeah, that's what I do. My songs always inspire confidence. If you can't tell, I might have went to karaoke this weekend.
I was going to ask you.
A little hoarse. It got a little rambunctious. So I got some bases, and we got a couple of exemplars. This is not on the screen. Am I there? It's right there, right? So there's one of my bases. This is for my clones. And you can see we got some rocks and some gravel and some other stuff. And then we have bases kind of like our new Boba Fett, where not only do you have the sculpted rock that comes with the miniature, you got, like, I've added some extra additional rocks. And you can see how that really changes the profile and the look of how that Boba Fett lives in his little world. So let's go over a few ways to do this. Let's start with this, let's start with something simple. One of my favorite ones. Let's do some cork. Let's do like a ruined temple. So I usually find some cork. We do need a hobby knife. Of course, please be careful with a hobby knife. Let's do like a ruined temple. Have you ever built a ruined temple base? We're going to today. So the first thing I like to do is set it on top and get like a rough shape. Doesn't got to be perfect. You don't want it to hang over here. So we're going to cut that away. And then we're going to use Does that look good? I think that looks good. Now there's a way here. Let's use a little plastic card. This is just plastic styrene you can get anywhere. From Hobby Shop or whatever. I'm going to make a strip. Like so. Maybe we'll do another one. About the same width. Doesn't gotta be precise. Unless you want to be. I'm not gonna be. Nope, that's slid. I'm just gonna get close enough here. Now what I like to do is I have a couple pair of clippers. it's summer. So I got these nippers. These are really good for plastic. This is a little chunkier set. What I'm going to do here, an ancient technique I learned from one of the masters. I'm going to go along and I'm going to crimp this plastic card like so. So I'm just pushing just enough I can feel the plastic card give, but not bust through. And that creates like a little tile effect. Can you see that? I'm gonna get, this is my favorite hobby knife. I'm gonna try not to get my head in the way. Let's create some little nicks here and there. Usually like little triangles, like little triangle cuts. They catch a good dry brush. And then I like to bevel those edges just a little bit. So basically just run. Can you see that, Summer? And maybe get this one a little more torn up. Something like that. So we know this one hangs off of our cork. We're just going to pop that. End it up. This one hangs off the cork. Pop that. And then where it's hanging off the cork, you want to destroy that. Get rid of those square edges. Maybe that end, maybe that little corner broke too. And we're going to use a little super glue. Actually, usually I use really, really thin super glue for this application. The thinner, the better for me. And the reason for the really thin super glue is it kind of fills up that cork and it dries super, super, super fast. All right, let's take our next piece. We'll check it out, line it up. I think I like this direction better. So we're going to break off that corner to follow that line. We're only going to do 3. Speed break. Snap. Get rid of that. Save these little pieces. Save these little pieces. I have like little containers all around me at all time that I keep little pieces in, kind of like this. This is like a little collection of like random nonsense that I've collected. So you can see there's like little plants, some twigs, and there's little pieces of slate. There's even a little chunk of bone in there. Someday I'm going to use that little chunk of bone. Someday. I don't know for what though. Maybe for like a Book of Boba Fett diorama or something. It's like in the desert, it's of Tatooine, the Krayt Dragon, Boba Fett fighting. It's not hoarding if you use it one day. The thing about like the miniature hobby, right? The miniature hobby is like a hobby of potential. It's aspiration. It's an aspirational hobby, and I totally did the wrong side of this. That's okay. It's a totally aspirational hobby. It's like, I'm going to paint all that. I'm going to build that table. That's kind of what I love about it. It's like, even if I don't do it, like I usually write the idea down, and then I have that book of ideas. And then I'll pass it on to my son and be like, well, now you're the one that has to build that table. Get rid of that. I'll be like, I don't build tables. That's you. And I'll be like, but now you must. For it's your destiny. And he'll be like, no, it's not. A little bit of glue. This is gonna look so cool. Just make sure that those line up. Let's go ahead and stick this to a base. Okay. Got one more spot right there. Maybe squeeze in about a little bit more. So once again, we're just beveling that edge, nicking some corners, just wherever we want it to be broken. It's always good to go and look at like some reference of, broken tiles or concrete, kind of get a feel for how it breaks. If you're out exploring, like I love going to like old ruined areas and kind of checking out like how things kind of deteriorate over time. Totally put my finger in that glue. Then we can get rid of the excess here. Then as that dries, we can carve that down. I'm going to grab that little piece that went flicking off, because we're going to use that in a moment. Okay, let's let that dry and come back. What's another version we can do? What other kind of fun materials do we have? Let's do some putty. I'm going to use some 2-part epoxy. We're going to make several bases. Tell me what your favorite is. So I like this on several different applications. So we're going to try and use this a couple different ways here. So any putty will work that gets hard, that cures under time. So let's just get a ball here. I'm going to put it right here on my thumbnail. We're going to use a little chapstick. And then this is one of my favorite sculpting tools. It's just a hobby blade that's been dulled and rounded. I just do that with sandpaper, and this makes a really great hobby tool. This is not sharp at all. You totally get rid of that blade. So we got a Shadow Collective Darth Maul here, right? And he's got this decorative base. And a really good way to utilize some of these decorative bases and tie it to the rest of your army is by maybe adding more elements to it. So you can very simply take a block of putty. Can you see that? Am I in frame? I'm going to smash it down to make it stick. Maybe tap the edges down. I want to look at this. This is like very square and irregular. And I can shape it. Am I still in shot? Use the side. Maybe cut like a little crack in there. Oh, no. This is dulled. I'm showing how to make a sculpting tool. We're just going to do a couple of these. Show how easy it is to sculpt these little rocks. As long as you can see them. This is like my style of rock. I find them very easy to make. Maybe there's a style that you find better. Let's put this one at like a bevel. So we're going to flatten the backside of that down. That way that rock is kind of at like a little angle. You can do like little tiny ones. So now I've taken that basing element, that little bit of decorative basing element that comes with Maul, that lifts him up and allows him to anchor to the ground, so we can have that dynamic pose. And I've taken some of those and brought them out across the entire base. And what that does is you can do something like this, where it's like, with rook cast here, you can see I've already sculpted some of the exact same types of rocks. And that's going to tie the two together. As you know, rook does not come with a very decorative piece. It's just an extra, like that sort of decorative element for rook cast is more of an anchor point for the foot. So you're not just gluing a straight toe down to the base. So we do that to create a bigger bite for the glue, and that way things stick better. But by tying these two together, it makes the army more cohesive across your entire battle force. You can also do them. I like doing this a lot. Do like a big one. I have no news on Worlds. I'm sure news about that is coming and will be announced across all of our social media platforms, so just Twitter and Instagram when there is news. So you can also, let's make two out of one piece of putty. You can do a whole base like this. The possibilities are endless with your imagination. Am I on screen? I'm going to try to get this. Can you see that big rock? Can you see that rock, kind of? How about there? I'm just going to slightly push in. Does it got to come up a little bit? Cause
It's just a little fuzzy, so we're gonna just sharpen it up for our fine friends real quick. There we go. I think that might have done it. What do we think, chat? Does that look good? A little bit clearer?
It's much clearer.
Woo!
So I just barely push that hobby sculpting tool down in there just to create like a little line. And then maybe we come from this other side. Don't forget going down the front. So it creates like multiple bricks very quickly and easily. Like you can do a whole base like I was saying, you can do a whole base like this and it looks super, super cool and interesting. What's the putty? Any two-part epoxy putty will work. I'm just using it's a plumber's putty actually. It's super good. Now normally I'd wait for putty to dry for this. Well, let's let it cure a little bit. Let's do another one. What's the next one we want to do? Let's do a little something different. Let's do a lot of putty. Warm it up. You gotta warm it up. So this is going to kind of be like how I did this one for my clone. See my clone here, looking all battle ready. He's got these nice pieces of flat slate rock. So I collect stuff from all over the place. And I even get stuff sent to me sometimes, funny enough. I got some twigs. These are straight up just twigs out of a yard. And if you put these in the oven for like an hour at like really low heat, like 125 or something like that, it gets them ready for use. You don't want to just use living twigs on your miniatures. That's not good. These are just rocks I've collected. They're all the exact same type. These have been great. I've used these for years and years and years, carrying this around from all the different places I've lived. And then a friend sent me some basing material from Lake Michigan area where they grew up. And it's these little fun little plants from the yard they grew up in. So maybe we'll use some of this stuff. This stuff is, I don't have very much of this. Let's try using some of that today. And then what other good materials are there out there? Once again, just more plant material. Been dried. These make great, like, more apocalyptic kind of setting. And these little seeds are great for some really weird effects on the ground. And then, of course, my favorite is cork, or tree bark. Of course, you can get tree bark from any of your like do-it-yourself stores. You gotta have tree barks.
Is that all from Washington, or is any of that out of state, any out of country? Like, what's your coolest thing that you have there?
The coolest stuff is probably the stuff that was sent to me by one of my friends, actually Elizabeth Beckley, does some of the painting for us. Super great hobbyist, and just sent me some basing material from where they grew up, where Lake Michigan, where she grew up, and was visiting parents and found some cool plant material. But like even just dirt from your front step works really good, stuff like that. Cork is great. I have a whole thing of cork. This is the texture of cork I personally like. My partner likes a heavier grain of cork, but I like this thinner grain. It all depends.
You got that from the hobby store as well?
That's just straight from hobby stores, yeah. Or even like, any of your home, like, this
Good.
home goods, like where you go to buy groceries and a pair of new, a sweet new stonewashed jacket. And then like the weird stuff, right? Like more plants that I've collected from. I've been almost every state in the, continental United States. So I always try to find stuff, or if I'm walking around on the side of the road or hiking or something, that's a piece of bone. I'm going to use it someday. I swear. I've been saying that for like 15 years. Been carrying. I don't even remember. I literally don't even remember. I've been carrying that bone around for literally 15 years. Any statement about the errors in the Balfour? I think the only real error in the Balfour's boxes is the flight stand. I'm sure you got plenty of flight stands, don't you? It's a pretty reasonable error. We apologize. So I'm going to take some putty and smash that down. The next thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to do 2 points of force on each side. Not in the center though. And see how that broke? Okay, so this is actually interesting. This came from, so in Colorado, there's a dead lake bed. That's like a fossil lake bed. And and of course it's a national park, so you can't do anything there. But on the outskirts of it, there was houses that owned areas that were still, lake bed, like areas of lake bed. And these people were just like, come into my backyard, pay me $10, fill up a box. And I was like, great. So my child and I went and paid $10 and harvested. And I've been carrying around for almost 20 years now. This pile of lake mud that is perfect for basing. I think the order tokens are just what you can't even use everything in the box as an army. So that's why there's not order tokens for everything. It's because it's not the army. And then we're going to take a little bit that broke off and we're going to shove this right here in the front. Why not? I'm going to use once again, my putty knife. The putty got pushed up, so I'm going to remove that excess. Push it down over here. Now the big thing I want to do is I want to create like a nice flat surface for my miniature to stand on. So I want to even that top out. Make sure that this stone slab is sort of flat. Just like that. Maybe we take one of these other special little rocks here. It's always picking the right rock. 90% of my life. Just how do you pick the right rock? Just going to mush that into the putty. What else does this need? Maybe another rock? Maybe another rock. Big rock sticking up, kind of compositionally, thinking like in the back. Well, whose base is this for? Yeah, that doesn't work. I think we do a Ahsoka. Let's make sure that base is flat. I'm really at eye level. You can't see me, but I'm at eye level, and I'm making sure that top slab is flat. And then we can attach our Ahsoka to it. Should probably use my right hand, it's better. There you go. And I like that composition of the, whoops, shouldn't have stood up so soon. That little chunk of big rock standing up behind her. Gotta count it down. Seems like Matt's in there tearing up the cases.
Making his presence known.
Matt, you want to be on the stream?
Just ask, Matt.
Yeah, just ask. Oh, it takes so much time for this glue to stick to these porous rocks. I'm just going to set her aside for now. Get her to tack on. While we move to another base. Let's move back to our ruined temple here. I want to shape this a little better. Use those nippers. Nice round edge back there. This needs to be a little more smashed up. Like really get a chunk out of that. Like that. Then I don't like it when the cork hangs over. You want it to come out like it's remember, the base is your frame of the painting. Compositionally, I want this to kind of be an overhang. So see how that kind of overhangs there? And this is too square, so we want to get rid of that squareness. The best way to do that is take some of this extra cork, kind of break it up in our fingers. Let's see if we can get this to fit on there. Use a little glue. Oh, did I bring toothpicks? I don't think I brought toothpicks. So I want to just make a pile of like the cork, but I don't want to go all the way up to the level where the stones, because then the stone would be there. So you want to show that it's kind of broken away. But with these extra parts that we cut off the stone, we can also gosh, I really did not bring a toothpick. There's one in my box. And then we put like some of that plastic that we broke off the temple floor. To show that's broken down and around. Maybe this needs to be a little smaller. What do I need a silhouette of the bases for?
For the mini's profile. Mini's profile.
Meh. Really cool.
Yeah, let's go for that one.
That's just been my life. I do what I want. The silhouette's set, right? It's a set number. This guy's got a little blue tack on him. I was using him for something else. Now I got a Dark Trooper busting into an ancient Jedi temple. We can decorate that up more here as that glue dries. What's another thing? So like our Moff Gideon here comes with like a little bit of decorative base. But maybe that's not the base you want to use, right? So I've glued him on, of course. Well, there's only one way to fix that. There's only one way to fix that. And that's by chopping it up. It's true. There's no point in communicating when the communication could be wrong. Gotta make sure the ducks are in a row. Okay, so we got rid of that. That base. So what kind of base should we make for our Moff Gideon here? He's got his foot up just a little bit. So maybe replicate that Dark Trooper. See, I just got rid of that. Got rid of the standard base. Maybe try to replicate that Dark Trooper base a little bit. So we need a little bit of cork. Now his foot's really low. Be cool. You mean like that little piece of tie hole that he comes on there? Pure Flight? So we just want like a little bit. This might be easier to go the other way. I don't know. His foot's not that high up off the ground. So do some quick measuring. Let's get rid of a little bit more height. I'm just scraping it off with my fingernail, which I don't have fingernails because I get a pedi every Tuesday, so I'm streaming on Wednesday. Not petty. A Manny. And I will not take any laughter from Summer about that.
Well, now you're going to have to.
Why are you losing your Grogu's? You're not supposed to lose your Grogu's. Just cleaning this up. By cleaning up, I mean destroying it. Don't hold your breath when doing. Don't hold your breath when you're doing detailed stuff. That's the worst thing to do. Holding your breath creates stress inside the body. Your body likes to breathe. It enjoys breathing. So by holding your breath, your body creates stress and releases your stress, those stress hormones and stuff. When you're doing something super high, like with super high fidelity, like, you know, painting an eye or putting together a Grogu, the best thing to do is breathe continuously, in and out slowly. And then, like, when you go to paint like an eye or glue something tiny together, you take a breath and then exhale, and while you're exhaling, execute the action. That makes you more precise. Good posture goes a long way. I really should do a video on ergonomics or a whole stream on ergonomics. Making sure your posture's up, making sure your diaphragm is open, right? So making sure you set straight up opens up the diaphragm and lets you feel less stressful. It also takes any pressure off your shoulders and lumbar, which makes you feel less stressful, lets you hobby longer and be more precise. Also, if you're a person who has historically struggled with small parts, such as putting together small parts or stuff like that, there's a million techniques. There's a million techniques that have been discussed for 100 years. Everything from a jeweler's apron. If you don't know what those are, you can look them up. They're aprons that attach to a desk. So anything that falls gets dropped to the apron. It's creates like a little cradle in your lap. Build over a towel. Even just a double or triple pile of paper towel. Building over any sort of soft cloth will prevent parts from bouncing. Building over a box. Don't clip out all the parts all at once is a big thing. I see a lot of people lose parts because they just clip everything out, right? They just remove everything from the frame. Just doing one at a time, way more efficient. Gluing down parts while they're still on a frame. So clipping one part off, gluing it to the part that's still stuck to the frame is a nice trick. Don't use tweezers. I hear people say use tweezers. I actually hate tweezers. Typically, there's always going to be a time I'm going to use tweezers. Especially when I'm putting graft tufts on my bases, which we're probably not going to get to today. Use tweezers, but for building miniatures, I don't particularly like tweezers because plastic is sort of slicky, and it's actually more likely to have them jettison into the void if you do tweezers. I actually like toothpicks with blue tack. I think is a fantastic trick that gets overlooked. We're just adding plastic card. Yeah, there's a million ways to prevent the loss of parts when you're building miniatures. Really losing parts should be a very, very rare thing. And if you've been doing it for a long time and you're still losing parts, it's time to adapt. Try some new techniques. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We all know what that is. All right, kind of got a little base here for our moth. Oh, thank you, Captain Archer. We're very pleased with our hard plastics and where they're going and where they come from. It's a great material. It's a fun material. Provides a lot of opportunities. And we're just going to keep learning about it and keep growing and getting better and better at using it. Oh my gosh, I only got 8 minutes. So, we've sculpted some rocks. We've done some ruined temple and 2 versions of that. And we got more of this look. Can you see that all together? You can't see that all together. And when it's done, this Ahsoka will look like this clone trooper. We'll get some of the, this is pumice. This is like earth gel, pumice gel. Mine's a little old, but a little water brings it back to life. Hang on, let's see if we can do this. I got one more base to go over, so hopefully we can get that. Depends on if Summer cuts me early. She always lets shit go early and not, or go late, not me.
You are the king of going late.
King of going late?
I don't even stop you anymore at this point.
You can't stop me.
Can't stop the Dallas.
I mean, you can just cut the stream and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
I won't even let you know. I'll just start shutting things down and leave.
So what I'll end up doing is I'll be adding pumice all around all these. And then what I like to do is this is a little bit of my favorite. This is some gravel ballast. I got two types in there. I got fine and I got heavy. I need a little more heavy. I like a good mix. Creates contrast. So we've used natural materials. We used some cork and plastic to create two different looking bases, but still tie together. I think that that's a great tie together. One is like more up. This is more ruined and cascading down around his feet. And then we got our base with sculpted rock to integrate into the created or the provided application. And then of course we're going to do one more, I think. Because we were talking about a Grogu. Should we do Grogu teacup for the Hobby Next special edition? Or Reachy hand thingy Grogu? Which one? Let's go. Make a decision. Pick out which one we're gonna do. Bum 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 bum. A scoodly doodly doo. We got one for the hand thing. We're gonna put him on a baseball suit. That's two. Where's it gonna go? Because someone's gonna cut me. What? Simon can't vote twice. That's not fair. You can't do that. What world do you live in?
I wasn't even looking at the names. I was just looking at the votes, so it would have counted.
You were counting it. Look. You can't slide your name past me. I catch that stuff.
And look at AMG over here trying to get in.
AMG votes don't count. Never have. Never once. All right, we're doing the bowl. So we got some little... So we're going to do the opposite, right? With Moff Gideon, we took the provided piece of, basing element, and we removed it, and we did some cork and plasticard. With Maul, we've added to the provided basing element to tie it to Rook Cast, who doesn't have a basing element. So I think for Grogu here, we're going to take an existing basing element, and we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to take an element from somewhere else, and we're going to add it to Grogu. So a little glue. I usually don't apply glue straight to the miniature like that. Please don't apply glue straight to the miniature like that. It's a terrible practice. It's absolutely not good. Put your glue on like I personally like an upside down base and a toothpick. So like you can just blurp some glue out, and then that's how you get your glue and apply it to your. That's another way to keep from losing small parts. It's much more precise. I'm going to stick this, where do we want him? base is too big. So maybe we take maybe Moff Gideon's pieces work. Nah, we're just going to use. I don't think we're going to use anything. I don't think he needs anything. You know what? We'll stick another rock on this side. Oh yeah, scoring the bottom. Scoring pieces is really good. It creates more surface area for the miniature to grab the base. So it's super useful. I'm not doing it obviously because we're on a stream and I have a timeline. I have 1 hour and we're just showing stuff. This isn't actually, no one's going to paint this stuff and play with it. And then like when you're putting together miniatures, hard plastic miniatures, you shouldn't be using super glue anyway. Super glue is terrible for hard plastic miniatures. Honestly, you should be using plastic glue. It actually chemically melts the plastic. So when you put the two pieces of plastic together, they chemically melt together, so it becomes one solid piece. That's why things like Darth Maul here he's not going anywhere. Oh, I broke him. I hit him too many times. You weren't supposed to hit him that many times. It actually broke though, but I was being too rough to prove a point. But typically they're not going to break because they chemically weld. So there it is. So there's our little Grogu. And that's a couple different ways to like put together some miniatures and, or not miniatures, but some bases to bring your miniatures to life and get them on the table. Look, I hit him too many times. I knew I shouldn't have gone too many times. Stress fractures are a thing. That wasn't the point. The point wasn't about stress fractures. It was about the bond between the two parts. And the bond between the two parts held. My point was proved, and I am correct.
Yep.
Is that it? It's time to go. So.
I just want to let you know, that look was to be like you're on screen.
Oh, is that the look?
That was you're up there.
Was I making a sassy face?
Oh, no. I just wanted you not to make a sassy.
I mean, my face is usually sassy.
Stays in sass.
Full sass. So, remember, every Tuesday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we stream here at Twitch for Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. You can check us out. Next week is it still hobby streams? The week after that is game streams. So be ready for that because game streams are back. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then for all the latest news, information, and announcements coming from Atomic Mass about all of our games, you can just check us out on Twitter and or Instagram. It's Atomic Mass Games. It's pretty easy to find. We got a yellow robot. You'll know it when you see it. So check us out there. And until then, until next time, go be the heroes you want to be and build some bases. Bye. And now I sing my song with my voice that I kind of wrecked this weekend, but it's okay because it's still kind of gravelly. I just lost a little control. Yeah, karaoke stream songs. Yeah, just be like, welcome to Atomic Mass, and they're going to be like, what? What's this guy doing?